It's Pajama Life with our review of Eyes of Wakanda and Peacemaker. Let's go.
I've come to the conclusion you suffer from a particularly severe form of toxic masculinity.
What?
We saved the world. They're gonna be doing backflips to get you to join.
I thought everyone would finally treat us like heroes.
I don't need anybody else to just forge my own path.
You're living in the worst level of Grand Theft Auto.
What's all this?
I had some people over.
Oh, I see. You don't even invite me.
You don't even seem that into sex.
Can you tell us a little about your skills?
I have a variety of helmets.
This guy sucks.
Excuse me? Am I supposed to be able to hear you guys?
Excuse me?
It is not funny.
You must be John.
Uh-huh.
Jesus.
You're not that dorky.
Shut up, Mom.
David, say hey to the people.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. What an interesting combination of the DC universe meeting the Marvel universe in tonight's kind of battle of the programs. It's two shows with two opinionators. Let's see what we like. What do you want me to tell you what I think about Peacemaker?
Yeah, let's go ahead and get started. What you think?
All right. My first thought is I don't typically mix my orgy films with my superhero movies. I don't usually get those things mixed in together. That was a little weird for me. It was James Gunn shows he's really taking the DC world, turning it on its head from what we saw with Zack Snyder. It seems a little dark in some places. I did think it was, I know this is on HBOMax, it was a little gratuitous, I thought, for a superhero kind of thing.
Yeah.
A little much. There was, I was like, all right, I don't need that. I laughed out loud at some moments, though. I ain't gonna lie. I don't know who the rabbit, Pat would maybe know who the rabbit would-be super heroine was that ran out with a bit of a wardrobe malfunction that they referenced. That was just funny. I like the beginning dance segment of the program.
See, I didn't like it as much.
I like the dance stuff. I think that's fun. Neat to see Tim Meadows. But it's dark, it's gratuitous, and it is certainly not. It's certainly not your typical DC comic book fare. And I think I love the fact James Gunn puts music into it, but it's really not my cup of tea. This is not something that this is a can't miss weekly television programming for me.
Yeah. And I think you're right. I think it is a little gratuitous. That scene went on for a long time, and
it really did.
You certainly can't bring children into that thing. I feel like I was the child going, that's too much for my baby eyes.
What is he doing back there? Oh my gosh.
I know, it was like, oh, okay. But
and if you're gonna get filmed doing that stuff, hey, if you're gonna get filmed doing those, I gotta tell you, do some sit-ups, man. You gotta do sit-ups if I'm gonna see any of your belly area in those kind of coitus-like moves. I was like, ugh.
Well, I guess average, ordinary people have orgies too. I don't know. But
I think they're the ones who have most of them.
Yeah, and I didn't feel like it really advanced the story either.
No,
for that
it doesn't.
long of a time. But then looking at Peacekeeper, Peacekeeper has murdered every one of his family members now. He murdered his father, he murdered his brother, now he murdered himself. I was like, sheesh, dude.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I thought poor Harcourt, she just is going through it. I think that is a lesson for all government employees. Don't pour everything you got into these jobs because they don't give a damn. I don't know. I got issues. But
hey, let me ask you this real quick on that same point. Government employees, I'm glad you brought up this real life connection. During a lapse in federal funding, would they be would they have to work or would they be furloughed?
Well, their funding doesn't lapse. So they probably have no year money. So
Okay.
they can be funded multiple years in their contracts. So that usually doesn't fall within that if we want to be technical. Okay. But back to the show. I think the story is darker, and you kind of see a flip of Hardcore and Chris. You know, she was on top before, now she's really down, and he's kind of on top, finding this new quantum realm. And let's give a shout out to the father, who apparently was an incredible genius packaged in this horrible racist jerk off. So it's like that mullet didn't give you a hint that he was some kind of evil genius, which he was, to create this pocket universe kind of thing where he can go in and it's like a big Hermione's hat or something. You can just pull anything out of it. And I think that him seeing his family and seeing how life would have turned out had that horrible incident not occurred, it's revelatory, and I think that is going to kind of drive him. And I thought that was really beautiful and touching, how just the little moment of him like caressing his ear, you know, as he was leaving, and the camaraderie between the brothers. What's going to be interesting to see is, are they still kind of degenerate racists, or has their superhero become something much more bright and sunshiny? That would be really my preference to see. But it is so great to see that parallel universe. But then you see this horrible situation he's kind of in. Adebayo, she just is like, yeah, I'm kicking ass, I'm taking that. Meanwhile, her life is crap. When the guy said you're in the worst version of the game, it's like, is she like, Mom, I don't care.
That was good dialogue. That was really, I'm not even a video gamer, and I got that reference pretty easy.
So it's definitely, you know me, I'll watch something a couple of times to make sure my original impression is something that I want to stick with. But I think with this show, there's going to be a lot of layers. And I think this one is kind of like a what if kind of season. What if this had happened? How would your life change if that one mistake you hadn't made? You know, how does that change your whole life? And we all have those kind of questions at some point in our lives. So it'll be interesting to see. But definitely A- B+ for me. Same for you, or lower, David?
A little lower than that. Let me go like B.
I think we're not going to have that much kind of gratuitous stuff going on. And if you want to hear from James Gunn about the episode, there's a great official podcast show on HBOMax that you can check out to hear his thinking behind this episode, and he'll do one after each episode. So the first one of the second season's out now. It's really interesting. So check out, but do not let your kids watch Peacemaker on HBOMax.
One last thing real quick on this. Another public service announcement. Don't let your kid watch it, like PJ Life said. But also, if you are interviewing someone, one, you should never sexually harass or in any way be inappropriate with the people you're interviewing. If you are going to behave in that horrible way and you're doing it in a remote way, make sure the mute button really is on. Everyone has feelings.
Yeah, I still don't like this version of Green Lantern. I just don't care for this guy at all. So, but it's a nice way to blend the Justice League and the Justice Gang.
Yeah.
And this series can do everything that the rest of the DC universe can.
That's true.
Obviously.
Yeah. Amen.
So check out Peacemaker, and we may review it either weekly or come in at the middle of the season and definitely the end of the season to do our wrap up. Okay. It's here. I don't know why this animation looks crazy, but I'll talk about it. Eyes of Wakanda. Let's check it out. From the Queen.
Wakanda is a kingdom of many secrets. We send out spies to protect our power. We call them war dogs. We fight for home, for Wakanda.
Secrecy is essential to Wakanda's security. Be a ghost.
The time to act is now.
I am ready.
Okay, so my biggest problem with this is the animation, because I'm like, why do these people from the continent look white? In some scene, I'm like, what is going on with this animation? It just was not good about the skin or the faces. They had a weird shape to the faces and heads and stuff. I just thought it just was not attractive at all. I thought the sequences, the 4 different episodes, I thought the last 2 were probably the strongest. I felt like the first couple were not as appealing, and I didn't understand what they were doing, which you don't understand to the 4th episode. So I don't know if this is kind of like the What If series, where you'll see different parts of Wakandan history that turn into and inform what happened in the movies. Or I mean, I think it's good that they are kind of standalone episodes. But I really thought the last 2 were the strongest. Definitely the last one was the strongest. But the third one, another problem I had is, you know what? Why people steal from the African continent and then say, oh, this is mine, like South Africans have done and said stole the people's land, and then the Afrikaners have said, oh, but this is my land. No, you stole it. Give it back to the people. And then you have this same situation happening. And I'm like, I did not like that person at all. I thought that was a really interesting thing they did in the 4th episode about who that person is revealed to be. That becomes a part of Marvel's universe. I thought that was cool, but I didn't like her justification on it at all. And so I just thought it was a bunch of colonial mess. And I was like, you can't steal something and then say it's yours and then be like, oh, but you stole from me, so now I'm gonna hurt you. Get out of here with that. But I thought the writing was pretty strong. How they did the 4th episode. And I thought the Dora Milaje was really kind of cool, how they tied it in from the 1st episode, the 2nd episode, and then the final episode. So it's a lot of good things in here, but the animation really threw me off. It just wasn't great. And when you think about some of the great African animation that's come out, like Iyanu, which I highly recommend, the animation was so much more beautifully done. So definitely I think you should check it out to support further stories. But you know what? I would have liked to see this as a live action series or even a movie about the war dogs, because I love that could be a great thriller like show or movie about that part of Wakanda, because it is a shadowy world of the war dogs. So
Mhm.
I think check it out. It's probably like a B plus kind of thing for me. How about you, David?
Well, I really liked this. I didn't know we were going to go to like an art class here, but we go into a lot of different
Yeah.
avenues when we talk about it.
I would think
Do
you would
you,
talk about it with the art that you do.
absolutely, absolutely. But I guess one question I have for you as I share my opinion on it, are you familiar with the micro series of the Clone Wars? Not the Clone Wars that was on that we see with like Ahsoka and those stories that's gone into Rebels and Bad Batch, but there were these micro stories of the
No.
early Clone Wars, and the art reminded me of a mix of, and I believe the artist's name was Sarkovsky, very
Uh
angular,
huh.
Ren and Stimpy kind of stuff with the heads and things. There was
Mm.
that, but it seemed to also be merged a little bit with some art that, and I don't have enough of an expertise in it, but of many different sculptures that would one have seen in different African art of wood carvings and different things. It seemed
Mm.
to like kind of try to mesh the
But
two
their
together.
skin, though. I mean, there are times you look at them and they look white. And even when it's
Hmm.
face on, it's like a white, like someone did a bad makeup job
Okay.
on the
Okay.
characters.
I need to
And it's
rewatch. I
like
think I
this
need to
sickly
rewatch a little bit.
white cast.
I didn't get that. The angles of it stood out to me more so than the colors per se. But I
Yeah.
thought that was an interesting piece. The world building here,
Yeah.
the depth of this fictional,
Yeah.
not quite a utopia, but this such an advanced secret society and the culture there. That is some really amazing stuff that Disney has brought to life. Disney and Marvel has brought to life. So that was cool to me. I really enjoyed in the second episode. It did kind of speak to some, the Greek myths. So we
Uh huh.
kind of crossed the seas. We didn't just say in something that was just solely African centric, which certainly I think there's a lot to be said for that because it's a part of history that I could probably use a little bit more knowledge of. But I did like that aspect of the Greeks and the Persians and all that good stuff. So I thought there was some neat stuff there. Uh, Again, I'd probably put it in the B category. I'm not disappointed that it was an animated program versus a live action because depending on how well this is received, they can go the next route. You can do certain things with animation, a level of
Mm-hmm.
creativity, and maybe even budget from a budget standpoint that live
Yeah.
action it if it's not done with a big if the funds aren't used properly, a big budget can look really cheap and you kind of wonder where it went, or it can be brilliant. Acolyte versus Andor in terms of like set design is a great example of that. In an animated world, you don't have to cut as many corners on creating these amazing worlds that Wakanda really is, and
Yeah.
from the history pieces of it. So I enjoyed it. I think, and I hope people would take a moment and watch these. And if you like the films, it's a little different than those, of course, but I do encourage people to watch this because I think it's the animated stuff. I like this animated show much more so than the What If that we've seen with the Marvel in
Oh,
the past.
really? I
I
thought
do.
What If was beautiful.
I just don't. I
Yeah.
just didn't like these alter. This at least you're going into a different time and making connections from the stories that we saw with kind of the history of Wakanda versus here are these people we know. We're just gonna morph them out. We're gonna turn it into like a mirror,
Yeah.
thing. And
Yeah.
I just got a little. I got a little tired of that after a while. This I thought was a little bit of new ground, and I like something a little new and a little different in this world for whatever reasons.
Well, and here's another thing that I have is, are they trying to make a hero of Killmonger? And because that becomes a part of it, his character.
Yeah.
And I know of people who are like, yeah, Killmonger, he was the one that should have been Black Panther, and he had the best idea for what Wakanda should do. I just completely disagree with that. He's absolutely a villain in the story. But it's like they're trying to appease that element of people who want to see Killmonger as the hero. What do you think about that?
You know, I know what you're saying, and I think there is a logical progression from pointing out an anti-colonial perspective and the horrors that in many cases that came from colonization. But you take it to that logical conclusion, and there you get Killmonger as a protagonist. And I think that for my particular taste, I don't like it. I can see why they're going that route. I think the fact that we lost the lead in this story
Chadwick
before,
Boseman.
when we lose Chad, and that was a big loss for I think the acting world and certainly everyone who filmed that show. A bit part of it, I think that it kind of it, it it you're kind of looking for a way to get that hero back, and I think that's also kind of a part of this element. Is we could get Michael B. Jordan to come back and take that character on, possibly. So I don't want to see him, the villain, become a hero in this case. I see
Yeah.
where that's going, but I'm not for it either. I think for a host of reasons, what was changes the program a little bit to get too much into the history side of it. But it's a neat thing to watch. But long term, I don't think it's in the best interest of the franchise to go that way.
Right. That's what I think too. It would have to be what they did in What If, in an alternate universe this happened.
Yeah.
They did that in What If, as a matter of fact.
Right.
Like a couple of stories, he then triumphed over Black Panther, and then he was the Black Panther. So
He killed Iron Man too, didn't he?
yeah, he killed Iron Man and took over and killed the Black Panther. He killed the Black Panther because he met him in the ancestor plane. And so it's kind of like, that is just kind of crazy. So definitely I think you should check out the Eyes of Wakanda, because we need to support stories like this. And if you like it, or if you didn't like it, put it in our comments below, and definitely subscribe and watch each week. Okay, so next week, I have found something very interesting for next week, which is a show called Damascus. And start off on AMC Plus, but now is on Tubi. It's a definitely interesting sci-fi comedy. We're going to take a look at that, and the Billy Joel documentary. And we're going to take a look at that. And so, I think that's good for Labor Day weekend, because he's kind of Mr. Working man, working class songs. So we're going to celebrate Labor Day with the Billy Joel documentary. And David, that's it for us. Say goodnight to the people.
Well, everybody, thank you for joining us. It was great to watch these shows. I think you'll enjoy them. I'm excited, Uptown Girl, to hear that good stuff. I'll be breaking into song throughout next week's episode, even singing over Pajama and our other colleague. Have a wonderful week. Take time to read a history book or visit a museum before history is changed around us. That's my my words of wisdom for the week.
And definitely support the well, I'll just say support the freedom causes and support anti-fascism causes. We have history unfolding right before our eyes, and it's not a good one for America. So definitely do what you can, and remember to vote. Register and vote. And we will see you next time. Take care.